You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Welcome back to the show. Here's a look at some of the political headlines of the past few weeks. The people of Slayton have elected a new mayor, Lynn Nolan, winning the runoff election, gaining more than 60% of the vote. Slayton's former mayor, Dubin England, died while in office earlier this year. Ms. Nolan was the mayor pro tem when that happened and had served as Slayton's acting mayor since England's death. A former Texas Tech geosciences professor is running for the District 83 state rep seat. James Barrick spent 38 years at Tech. He considers himself a progressive Democrat. Says his experiences in agriculture, geology, and higher education make him a great candidate for this position. The seat is currently being held by Republican Dustin Burrows. And Victor Flores making the official announcement he's running for Lubbock County Commissioner in Precinct 3. Victor says his goal is to bring new businesses to Lubbock County and to add more residential development. He's running as a Republican, the seat currently now being held by Gilbert Flores. In all, 5 candidates are running for the Precinct 3 job, including the incumbent. Well, Democratic presidential candidates staying busy through the holidays with just weeks to go before the first 2020 test, the Iowa caucuses. But some of those candidates could have to head back to Capitol Hill for an impeachment trial. As Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer finds, one Republican lawmaker is pushing to block that.
As the Senate prepares for a possible impeachment trial, 2020 candidates are standing by for what could be an extended interruption to their campaigns.
If someone is out there saying the president should be impeached and they're running for president, they probably shouldn't be sitting on an impartial trial.
Republican North Carolina Congressman Mark Walker is calling for rule changes that force senators running for president to recuse themselves from the proceedings.
Many of them have said on the campaign trail, I'm 100% behind impeachment, so you really can't come back, in my opinion, and come back and say, yes, I'm going to be an impartial member of the Senate.
There are 5 senators, both running for president and set to be involved in the Senate trial. None of them are showing any signs of sitting this one out.
Paranoid president facing election tries to get dirt on a political opponent.
In campaign events over the weekend, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar openly talked about the president's alleged actions, comparing them to former President Richard Nixon's.
Do not underestimate Donald Trump.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, and Colorado Senator Michael Bennet are all expected to participate in the Senate trial. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi still hasn't sent the articles of impeachment over to the Senate for a trial to even begin. Reporting in Washington, I'm Kelly Meyer.
And I'm joined here by Congressman Arrington. He's got a lot to talk about. A lot has happened, especially in these last few months of 2019, but really this year in total.
Yeah, well, we had one big win at the end. I'll start with the positive. We got a new trade deal with our biggest and most important partners, Canada and Mexico. Bring tens of thousands of jobs to the U.S. Level the playing field there in Mexico. It'll support $2+ billion in growth for agriculture. This on top of pro-ag tax reform, a good farm bill with a reliable safety net. So we keep building to strengthen the ag economy. And then, of course, opening up the Canadian market to dairy producers, among other farmers. And all around, it's great for American workers. It's great for American manufacturers and our farmers. So a big win for the United States of America. And it was a bipartisan agreement, but then you juxtapose that to the that same week where we did something that was not only unproductive, not only distracted us from doing more of the people's business, but it was a terrible precedent that I fear will lead politicians in the future to weaponize impeachment. And we've got enough dysfunction in Congress. I think this phony impeachment process in the House has been disastrous for our country, and I think it will cause problems in the future. And so in that way, I'm sad.
I'm going to go back just a bit for people who don't know. I know you made that transition there, telling us about the overwhelming bipartisan support for the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. And in that same week, just the stark contrast as we had that impeachment vote, as we saw straight down party lines. If you could talk about what that week was like leading up to that vote, and then obviously letting people know how you voted and why.
You bet. Yeah, well, again, a great week and great day when you open up freer and fairer trade with folks around the globe. We only represent 5% of the world population, so 95% of the markets are outside of the continental United States. But then a sad day in that we had our first ever partisan impeachment vote. I mean, everyone voted on party lines. We had a couple of folks defect from the Democrat Party, but it was bad in that it wasn't a fair process. The allegations were flimsy and ambiguous at best. And so we just let the process be so politicized and so weaponized that, again, I worry that that will be the default for future Congresses. And it's hard enough to work in a bipartisan way. It's hard enough in the swamp to function, to govern for the American people, to actually work to solve problems that will have a real impact on the people's lives that we represent. I think it just got harder. It's a new low for Washington and the broken culture of Washington. But look, the fix was in from the outset. I think no one's surprised that the House ultimately found some trumped up, no pun intended, reason to impeach him. The record and the process will be set straight, and there'll be a course correction, and there'll be a true, fair, and impartial, nonpartisan process in the Senate. And so I hope we can recover some in that regard.
So something I have to ask, something we hear a lot from constituents and our viewers, are representatives like yourself going in with your minds made up with your vote along those party lines?
Yeah.
Did you hear anything during the process that might have swayed your vote the other way? I think that's a question a lot of viewers have when they see these partisan divides occur.
Yeah, look, I support the Constitution, my constituents, and my conscience, and I let the facts drive my decision. The only direct evidence, the only firsthand knowledge we had was the president's conversation with the Ukrainian president, Zelensky. I didn't see any issue there. I saw a president that was certainly unconventional, very direct, and I saw a president whose intent was to make sure that taxpayer monies don't go to a country and to a new leadership of a country that's not serious about rooting out graft and corruption and not giving a pass to any politician, including the former Vice President Biden. Ultimately, there was no quid pro quo. Ultimately, the president said directly to Sondland, who was a star witness of the Democrats, I don't want any quid pro quo, do the right thing. He just wanted to make sure that he was a fiduciary for the taxpayers. And so the Democrats' target was moving in terms of their allegations, extortion, bribery, quid pro quo. So it never felt solid. It felt partisan. And I thought the president certainly didn't commit any impeachable offense. But I would go beyond that and say he was being a fiduciary for taxpayers. And I feel like I keep an open mind. I've opposed the president before when he prematurely withdrew from Syria. That's my take on it. I opposed him then. He has said after a shooting that we should take people's guns and then apply due process. I opposed him on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, because I stand for the Second Amendment and the Constitution. I don't care what your last name is and what party you're affiliated with. So I think I've demonstrated my independence, and I let the facts lead me, and the facts of that conversation were no impeachable offense. The process was purely partisan. He didn't have due process. It wasn't fair. Hopefully that will all change when it goes to the Senate.